Hey, welcome to another episode of Heroes and Videos. Today we're going to talk about new comics that are coming out that I'm excited about. I've got some recommendations for you, and at the end of the video we're going to talk about the latest issue of Amazing Spider-Man, which is one of the more interesting issues of that comic I have read in some time. Would love for you to hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Subscribe to the channel so you get notifications as well whenever we have new videos. And with that, let's get right into it. First up is a book by Dynamite. It's Space Ghost and Jonny Quest. It's called Space Quest. And it's two great characters from the late 60s, early 70s, I guess, my childhood. The wonderful cartoons that were out at the time, and really enjoyed Saturday mornings with some of those great Jonny Quest and Space Ghost episodes. This is a really clever crossover where I try to do this semi-spoiler free, this video. It's a very clever crossover where the sidekicks, if you will, Space Ghost sidekicks, who aren't, I'm forgetting their names, but Blip and the two kids, they kind of trade places, if you will. It's not Freaky Friday, but they trade places with Johnny and Haji. The two our two heroes from the Jonny Quest series, and hijinks ensue. Beautiful cover. The art's really good inside. It's just a really good, really pretty book. That's the first up of my recommendations for stuff that's coming out. If you're not reading that, you should be. Next up is a Gods special. The Marvel did that Gods series that I enjoyed, but I have to be honest, I didn't get through the whole thing. It's on my back list of, my backlog of things I want to read. This is part of the One World Under Doom crossover event that's going on at Marvel. Got to say, it's one of the better events they have done in many, many years. You can see on the cover there, Wynn is his name, it's kind of like it's not Doctor Strange, but yeah, he's got the streak in his hair, and he's a magician, or excuse me, a wizard, a sorcerer. And then obviously Doom on the other side there of our sun. It's a special. It's a one-shot. It's a very great self-contained book. Even if you didn't read the Gods miniseries, you'll enjoy it. It's just clever. They're doing some of the best stuff with Victor Von Doom that they've done in years. The Wynn character is very interesting. He's a very complex character. Not really Marvel's John Constantine, but sort of similar in that he's a bit of a scoundrel and a rogue. And he's got an apprentice in this that's pretty much, I guess, the protagonist of the book. But it's a good read. It's a very good self-contained one-shot. It's nice to have a book that's beginning to end is all self-contained in one story. This next up is one of my favorite characters, the Silver Surfer. You'll see here the title of the book is actually Death of the Silver Surfer. Beautiful variant cover there where he's, Norrin Radd is riding the wave, if you will, around the surface of either a planet or sun. Can't quite make it out. This is a surprisingly good book. I thought this was kind of clickbait of books, if you will, when you name a title, Death of someone, particularly with what's going on in the Fantastic Four First Steps film. In terms of, are we getting a new Silver Surfer at the end of this limited series? I don't know. I picked it up because it's one of my favorite characters, and I have to say I'm enjoying it. It's a really good story. It's got me hooked a couple issues in. Speaking of limited series, and maybe it's not limited, maybe it's ongoing, One World Under Doom number 6 came out this week. I thought it was a 6-issue run. Spoilers, it's not. There's at least a 7th issue. This is a really interesting, again, another variant cover, but this is a really interesting issue because it's, again, I'm trying to stay somewhat spoiler-free. It's mostly a conversation between Reed Richards and Dr. Doom, and they raised some interesting points. The whole series has been along the lines of, is the Marvel Universe, or at least Marvel Earth, if you will, better off with Doom running it, ruling it? And it's an interesting concept. They do cross some intellectual bridges in it that I wonder about. A lot of times in comics, when when they start asking certain questions, it makes you wonder if you don't want the whole construct to fall apart, if that makes sense. You'll know more when you read the book. But yeah, that was a really good book. And the last two I have here, this was as part of a 3-part series. I've mentioned it in previous videos. This is Benjamin, which I picked up for personal reasons just because of the title. It is one of the more bizarre books I think I've ever read. It's a fascinating concept, and there's not much I can say without spoiling it. The cover, as you see, is pretty trippy. The concept is pretty trippy. It's about an individual that wakes up and is trying to figure out what's going on in his life, begins asking some very existential questions, and that leads to all sorts of things. I can't wait for the next issue or the final issue of this book. This is number 2. It's really strange. If you're not reading this book, you should pick it up. If you like weird in your comics, that's really about all I can say without spoiling it. But really, really good book. And next up is Amazing Spider-Man, my favorite character, my favorite title comic. This one's not the best of shape already, but as you can see, Spider-Man's having a tough time there. In this book recently, Spider-Man spent a few issues just getting pummeled by this character called Hell's Gate, and at the end of the last issue looked like that was it. This issue, again, I'm trying to stay somewhat spoiler free. This issue starts after that battle. If you'll recall, at the beginning of the last volume of this book, it opened up with Spider-Man waking up after or after some big battle, and then it jumped ahead 6 months. And it was very, it was very noticeable shift, and they beat us over the head with the fact it was a shift, and that we had to figure out what was going on. This book does something very similar, but it doesn't really telegraph it, if that makes sense. I'm as excited about this book as I've been in a long time with this issue. It's a guest artist. It's not John Romita Jr., nor is it Pepe. I can't remember all of Pepe's name, who started this series, this volume. It's got one of the best closing splash pages, if you will, of our hero that I can recall. It's got one of the more heartbreaking scenes with our hero and a certain redhead. Or at least for me it was. This thing just hit different. I guess that's the best way I can say that. It's really good. If you're not, if you've fallen away from Amazing Spider-Man, you may want to pick it up again. There have been some great action issues leading up to this. This one's a little different. I'm concerned for our hero, and it's not a big over-the-top advertised, oh no, something's going on with Peter Parker, Amazing Spider-Man. It's not that, but this feels deeper than that. So just really, really excited about that book, and can't. And yes, I'm a complete Spider-Man apologist because he is my favorite character. But that's a really good book. You should be picking it up, and you can certainly pick it up with this issue. Like me, you'll wonder what the heck's going on, but that's no different than even if you have been reading the last issue. Those books are always, that type of story is always a great place to jump on. With that, we are done for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, keep reading comics, keep going to see movies, and be kind to each other.